and I'll click start now. Okay.
Hello everybody and welcome to our session on equality and diversity and inclusion in engagement, which will be led by David Codner, our Associate Director of Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. My name is Sheila Samuels and I'm one of the non-executive directors on the board of Liverpool University Hospitals NHS Trust. For those of you who don't know the role of a non-exec director, we are a group of people who are employed part-time on the board to complement the group of executive directors, and we don't hold an executive function, but what our role is to do is to provide constructive challenge to the organisation and to the executive to ensure that we are focused on the correct things that we should do as a trust. Also to seek assurances that what the board says it will do and should do with regard to patient care and looking after staff welfare and our core function does actually happen. And we also come with expertise ourselves as a background, so where we can add value to the trust, we like to do that as well. My particular background is in HR, OD and governance. So equality and diversity is very key to our role at the moment. As a trust, we are newly formed and we are setting our strategies going forward. This is a key one because it plays such a role in staff welfare, staff engagement, also the services we deliver to patients. It's key for us, and our role as a hospital, as an anchor organisation, means we can influence the wider world around us. So that being said, I'll hand over to David and he can talk you through the strategy and the key developments within that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sheila, and welcome everybody to today's session. So I'm David Codner, I'm the Associate Director for Equality, Diversity and Inclusion within the Trust. I'm been in the Trust for about 10 months now, and I'm still feeling that I'm finding my feet around the organisation. So today's session is going to very much focus on two things. We want to provide you with an update of some of the current work that's going on around EDI, and also we want to take a look at our strategy, our draft strategy, and we'll also have an opportunity for questions and answers at the end of the session. You will see at the top of your screen a Q&A button. If you have any questions or comments, can you just please pop those in there and we will do our best to answer them at the end. Thank you very much. So moving on to the next slide. This is where the technology, works or not. So first of all, just a quick update. To tell you a little bit about the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team. We are the EDI team is based within the human resources, though we actually have a full range of responsibilities in terms of the EDI agenda, not just in relation to the workforce. We're a small team which consists of 2 people at the moment, and we are in the process of recruiting our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Support Officer, which will give us extra capacity to deliver work and improve our communications, organise EDI events and raise the profile of EDI overall within the Trust. So there is, in terms of the senior members of the team, there's myself and there's also Tracy Lowry, who is the Equality, Diversity Inclusion Lead in the team as well. Yeah, sorry about that. It's just that the keys are working on my in terms of moving the slides forward at the moment, so I apologise for that. So in terms of we are responsible for all aspects of the equality and diversity agenda. That includes, amongst other things, the workforce, services and connected issues such as the physical environment in which the Trust provides its services and staff work within the organisation. Governance, policy and decision making is also another area of responsibility where we need to make sure that our governance and our policy and decision making supports the need to advance equality, diversity and inclusion. And we also carry the statutory responsibilities in terms of EDI. So we are responsible for helping the Trust to make sure they meet their responsibilities. Its responsibility to say, sorry, in relation to our duties under the Equality Act 2010 and also the Human Rights Act. And then we also have a number of contractual responsibilities as an NHS employer and service provider to make sure that we do a number of things in relation to being in an NHS organisation, such as meeting our responsibilities in relation to the Workforce Race Equality Standard, the Disability Equality Standard, and the Equality Delivery System, amongst other things. We also have a broader responsibility for human rights, as I said, and also social inclusion work within the trust as well. So a number of changes are taking place within the team. As I said, we were also recruiting, as I say, our assistant officer who will be working with us, and then we will also be moving towards a site-based model of working. This means to say that we will be working with our trusts, hospital sites, and we will be providing specific support to each site. And we will have leads within the team for the Aintree and Liverpool clinical laboratories as one lead, Liverpool Royal and Broad Green as another lead person, and then the corporate and hosted services as well. And as a result, we'll say there will be changes taking place as we're going forward within the next few months within the team. So I just want to spend a few minutes just looking at our current work at the moment, so to update you and then to give you a picture of what's going on at the moment. So we are working on delivering our and developing our EDI strategy. This is our first strategy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of today's session and give you a bit more detail and understanding of what's happening there. We're also in the process of producing our diversity calendar, and we're just finalising the Ramadan guidance for our staff and managers. At the moment, Ramadan is a very important holy month for followers of of the Islamic faith, and Muslims will be fasting during the month of Ramadan between the hours of sunrise and sunset, and this has implications for both staff and for patients. And we're just about to publish guidance for that, as the Ramadan will start shortly. We're also working on guidance for in relation to trans staff and supporting trans staff in the workplace, for both the staff who have transitioned and people who are going through transition process at the moment, and that guidance should be available later on within the year. We are also at the moment reviewing the Trust's recruitment and selection processes from an equality and diversity aspect, and a number of pieces of work we will hope to flow from that review as a result. Within the Trust, there are a number of staff equality networks which meet on a regular basis. At the moment, we have two active networks in terms of for staff who identify as ethnic minority for one network, to the ethnic minority staff network, and secondly we also have the LGBTQ+ staff network as well for staff who identify for any of those within those umbrella terms. We are currently in the process of developing a staff network as well for disabled staff within the organisation, and we hope that that should be functional in the near future. We recently also worked with our colleagues in nursing and quality to develop the ethnic minority staff as the Ethnic Minority Nurses Forum as well, which specifically focuses on the particular issues related to ethnic minority nurses within the Trust. So we've got a number of pieces of upcoming work which we will be concluding hopefully across the next few months. First of all, we will be launching our EDI strategy for 2010-25, and so we'll come to that in a little more detail in a bit. Publication of our diversity calendar shortly. Equality, Diversity and Human Rights Week, which will be taking place between the 9th and the 13th of May. And this year we want to develop a comprehensive programme of activities across the Trust, and we're asking our corporate services and our clinical divisions to organise some of those activities with us, so that there's a greater involvement of people in EDI activities, and also creating a greater level of awareness around EDI issues for both staff and patients within the organisation. And we wanted to commence our 3 E's programme, which is an ethnic minority staff development programme. Some of you may be aware that at present we have an underrepresentation of ethnic minority staff within our middle and senior grades within the trust, and we need to address this inequality. And one of the steps that we'll be taking is the introduction of the 3 E's programme. This year is going to be a small programme compared to what we hope to deliver in future years. We'll be having a maximum of 10 places on the programme, and there will be further details within the trust as we get nearer to launching the programme. We're also will be introducing an EDI action planning process within the trust. This will be to support the implementation of our forthcoming EDI strategy, and is a critical part of our approach to helping us to mainstream EDI issues within the organisation. But part of underpinning and supporting that process of action planning with the trust will be the recruitment of quality, diversity, inclusion coordinators for all our divisions and corporate services. And these will be people who are responsible for overseeing and managing the EDI work within their particular areas, but not delivering all of it. We will also need to publish our workforce and patient profiles, which tell us about our workforce and our patients in terms of different aspects of equality, diversity, and inclusion. And we will also be wanting to celebrate a number of events to mark EDI issues within the trust, and the EDI team will be supporting this as well. So just to spend our last part of today's session looking at our draft EDI strategy. We're currently in the process of developing our first strategy, as I said, and it will be for a period of from 22 to 2025. It sets out, amongst other things, our approach to advancing EDI and protecting human rights by establishing 7 commitments to what we will do to ensure equality, diversity, and inclusion within the trust, and 7 guiding principles, which I'll talk about in a second, which will help us to implement EDI and for staff to be able to understand what does EDI mean in their day-to-day practice, either in terms of providing services to patients or managing people and working with colleagues. We will also set out what we will do to improve EDI within and beyond the trust, and to this end we have established 6 priority areas or areas of focus which we will work on and to improve EDI, and I'll talk about those in a bit more detail as well, because they are the, if you like, the engine of the strategy which we will use to drive forward progress. And we will also ensure that the strategy is implemented through an action planning process, which I've talked about briefly in terms of what in our forthcoming actions. We will be asking each of our clinical divisions and our corporate services to develop their own EDI delivery plan based upon the corporate delivery plan, so that all parts of the organisation are involved in advancing EDI. We will monitor progress and we will report progress to both our staff and our other stakeholders within the trust, so that we will be transparent about the progress that we're making, and so that people can clearly understand what we've achieved and what we still have to do within the trust. And we will define key areas of responsibility within the trust in relation to EDI as well. So our 7 EDI principles are set out in front of you, and each of these principles are designed to help people to understand what it is that they need to do to advance equality, diversity, and inclusion within the trust. And They are defined within the trust, and there is guidance on how to implement each of those. And if we just look at, say, for example, equality. Equality is about focusing on ensuring that everybody has the ability to maximise their potential to achieve their best possible within the organisation, and that make sure that there are opportunities are fair and equal for everybody. It's not about treating everybody the same, because treating everybody the same or identical treatment will not necessarily lead to equality in certain circumstances. So, for example, we don't ask everybody to use the stairs because some people are unable to use the stairs due to their disability. And it's important that we must recognise that when we look at equality, that we want to be able to meet people's needs to the same extent, which means to say that we might have to take different actions to ensure that people are able to have their needs met to the same extent and achieve the same level of outcomes. And these 7 principles are defined within trust, and we will be making sure that our staff and others understand what these 7 principles mean in day-to-day practice, because it will help guide everybody to undertake the right actions to advance equality within the organisation. As I said, we had 6 priority areas of focus, and they're set out, and I'm going to talk about each of those in a little bit more. Each area of focus has a high-level strategic aim attached to it, and will have a number of objectives and also outcome measures, as well as deliverables or actions to be taken for each year of the strategy. And as you can see, we are looking to achieve a broad and balanced approach to equality, diversity and inclusion, not just focusing on one area, which it's traditionally been in the case in the NHS, where the major focus has been on workforce equality. Workforce equality is extremely important, as we know, but we also need to remember that there are other areas where we also need to focus our EDI activities and attention as well. So just looking at each of these in turn. Strategic Aim 1, which is around the mainstream of equality, diversity and inclusion. We want to ensure that EDI is fully integrated into everything that we do within LOFT, so that the promotion of equality and diversity and inclusion is undertaken by the whole of the organisation, is visible in everything that we do, and that everybody who works in the trust contributes appropriately towards the advancement of EDI. And this is the golden thread which underpins everything that we do in the trust. We want to make sure that EDI is fully integrated across everything that we do and is visible in everything that we do, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to achieve our objectives and create a sustainable long-term approach to delivering EDI. And so that's our first priority area. Our second priority area is workforce equality, and we want to attract, recruit and retain and develop a fully diverse workforce in all occupations, levels and grades. And so we really want to make sure that our workforce is fully reflective at all levels and in all parts of it, of the diversity of the populations that we serve here at LOFT. And we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be able to maximise their development and their potential in the organisation, and there shouldn't be any unfair obstacles or barriers preventing their progress if they wish to progress within the organisation. Our third area is service equality, and this area is really focused around our services and how we provide our services to the people that we serve, and we want to make sure that our services are able to meet the needs of everybody to the same extent, provide an equally good experience, and there are equitable outcomes for all. And by equitable outcomes for all, we mean that the best possible outcomes are achieved for everybody, regardless of their background or any protected characteristics which they may have. The fourth area is the physical environment. So we want to make sure that our trust buildings and estates, so that's anything that our land and property that we have within the organisation, are fully accessible, i.e. they can be used by everybody, there's no barriers which prevent people from using them, and that our buildings are safe and inclusive for all the people who need to use them. By safe, we mean to make sure that everybody is free from danger or harm by using our buildings in our estate, and feel safe when using them, and also inclusive as well, that they meet the needs of a wide range of people who need to use our buildings. So, for example, our facilities for our toilets and our shower facilities are able to meet the needs, for example, of a wide range of people as well. In terms of our fifth area, which is community partners and stakeholders, we want to develop a strong and sustainable partnership with the communities that the Trust serves and the partners that we work with, and also how we purchase our services and goods within the organisation. And we want to make sure that we are advancing equality and diversity inclusion through the activities in these areas, to make sure that we work with the communities that we serve, including our diverse communities, our partners who we work with, and the stakeholders and our contractors who supply goods and services to us, that we make sure that we use our purchasing power to advance equality, diversity and inclusion beyond the Trust as well. And then finally, governance, policy and decision making, which is our final area. We want to make sure that we have good, robust decision making structures and governance arrangements that support and advance equality, diversity, inclusion within the Trust, and also help to protect human rights. So those are 6 areas which we're going to focus on, and the areas which we want to make progress on. And to make sure that we're able to deliver upon our strategy, we will put this into operation by introducing the action planning process, which I've talked about. So the annual delivery plans at Trust divisional and service level, or EDI coordinators within our divisions, and deputy coordinators within our care services and corporate services. And also we want to introduce a programme of equality advocates, which will be individual members of staff who want to be able to and willing to advance equality, diversity and inclusion within their own areas of work. And then we will say review our governance arrangements to make sure we've got appropriate governance arrangements at all areas, define EDI responsibility and develop accountability and a framework within the Trust, and develop a performance management framework and undertake progress monitoring and evaluation. We have consulted on our strategy for a number of areas. We've included consulted with a number of stakeholders, which has been set out above there, and we will be consulting with a number of other people yet to be consulted with within the Trust, and we want to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity to input into the development of the strategy. So you can feedback your thoughts and ideas around the strategy today by talking to us about what you think about the strategy, and also we have produced also a feedback stroke worksheet to capture people's responses as well. We're particularly interested in understanding what people think we need to do to achieve our aims set out within the strategy, particularly in the 6 priority areas. So I will now ask for any questions and discussions and the discussions, and then we also just want to remind people that if you're not a member of the Trust at the moment, that you are able to sign up to become a member of the Trust as well, and the contact details there, and I'm sure Jess will remind you again at the end of the question and answer session. Thank you. So Jess, could we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Jess seems to have frozen.
Sorry, David, can you see them in the Q&A section?
Just having a look now. I can only see one No, I've got the question that I saw had just disappeared.
Okay. So when will the diversity calendar be available?
I've published. Oh, right. Sorry, I've got some of these here. Right. So I've just gotten back. So diversity calendar should be published next month. We're just in the process of finalising that. So what are the 3 E's? So the 3 E's are, as I said, the 3 E's program is a staff development program for ethnic minority staff at this stage. Each of the E's stands for one part of the program. So the first element is experience, which means to say we want to be able to provide staff with enhanced experience through providing them with a placement opportunity, which will be a development opportunity for members of the program. The second E is exposure, which is exposure to new ideas and new ways of working. And also each member of the program will also have a sponsor stroke advocate who will be there to support their career development. And the final element is education, which is about ensuring that the individuals, the participants of the program, have all the necessary qualifications to move up to the next level within their career. Moving on to the next question, what facilities are available at the Aintree site for transgender or non-binary visitors? I am not sure and cannot answer that question immediately, but we can get a written answer to you if that would be helpful. How could members get involved with the upcoming projects? So that there will be just trying to think of the opportunities. So, well, one of the things we will be doing is feeding back to members on a regular basis of what's actually going on. If members have ideas about how things can be improved, we can actually organise further ways of communicating with members to discuss their ideas and include them in the forthcoming strategy. We will be saying, as I say, we'll be reporting back on a regular basis of what we're doing, what we're achieving, and what our plans are. And I think that that's probably the best way for members to be able to fight that, to feedback on those opportunities. If there are very specific issues or projects that they can get involved in, they can contact the Equality and Diversity team, and we will discuss how they can get involved in particular initiatives if they have got particular interest in those. Does the Trust have an opportunity to influence and contribute to national policy? It very much depends on what particular issues we're talking about in terms of what opportunities we actually have, and it's very varied in terms of what the particular issues are. So if there's a specific area which you would like to try to influence, then please contact the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion team or the Corporate Governance team, who will pass on the information to us. When reviewing recruitment and selection processes, what do we take into account to make this to ensure? So what we're looking at is we want to make sure that when we're reviewing the recruitment process that we've got clear, robust and consistent guidance to staff to make sure that all staff act fairly and appropriately towards all job applicants. We will also be hoping to introduce the role of fair recruitment advisor to sit on a range of panels depending on how many people we can recruit, and we're going to start in a small area and focus on the areas where we've got the greatest underrepresentation, which at the moment we know that one of our major challenges is around race and ethnicity, and that's where we want to start, but we will be moving out into other areas as well. And we will also making sure that we've got very clear, robust guidance, as I said, and we will also be looking to introduce fair recruitment selection training for everybody who sits on the recruitment panel. And at the moment we're discussing whether this training should be mandatory or not. Okay. Staff services, just that poor confidence in learning, training and potential development. How do the views in the survey impact upon the EDI strategy? Oh, sorry, right. Well, we want to make sure that I've got to review all the information from the latest strategy book, from the latest staff survey. What I want to do in that regard is to make sure that if there are specific concerns, specific issues, that we address those. We know that people are concerned about being treated fairly within the organisation. We recently piloted our some respect at work workshops in a part of the organisation. We had extremely positive feedback, and we know that there has been some significant behaviour change as a result of that very focused training and making sure that it's mandatory for all people within that area at a particular level. And what we want to do is to roll out this and to develop a full campaign around respectful behaviours within the trust to make sure that we can actually make sure that people feel respected and that are treated with dignity whilst at work by both colleagues and also patients as well, and other service users. Often procurement awards are made at the lowest cost, but how do we factor other benefits such as those within communities? A challenge as this may not directly benefit the trust, but improves health and well-being within our communities. Certainly that's a point that we want to take on board, so that we look at not just cost but also quality and social value. And by social value, we will also be looking at things like the promotion of EDI and also the reduction of social exclusion, poverty and deprivation in the areas of work. And that piece of work will be included within our forthcoming EDI strategy, and if necessary we'll also look at our social inclusion work that we need to undertake within the trust. And then final question, many Christians are fasting during Lent sessions, but those Christians can come under equality. I'm not quite sure, is that those Christians can come under equality? I'm not quite sure of the meaning of that question. If we're saying that are Christians who are fasting covered in terms of our equality and diversity provisions and the Equality Act, yes they are. And what we need to do is, obviously, if people have specific concerns and requirements during Lent, that they should make their line manager aware of that and discuss what issues that they may have and any support that they may need within the trust. I hope that gives an answer to all those questions. That was like a whistle-stop tour, and we're slightly over time, I think, are we? No, yeah, we are slightly over time, so I do apologise for that. But I hope that I've been able to answer all your questions. If there are any more questions or issues that you want to raise, please feel free to email me, David Codner, with it, and we will hopefully be able to provide some written answers as well, or you can provide feedback to via the corporate governance team as well. So thank you very much. And just before we go, just want to remind you that, again, to say that if you are not a member yet of the trust, and you are very welcome to become a member of the trust, and you can do this simply by going to our webpage, the address is there, or contacting corporate governance at liverpoolft.nhs.uk with an email, or the telephone number is there as well, and we should be very glad to be able to help you join the trust as a member. So can I just say thank you very much. Sheila, is there anything that you finally want to say before we close the meeting? Sheila, you're on mute.
No, that was great, and please do give us your feedback and any suggestions or involvement you can. That would be great. Thank you very much for attending today.
Okay, thank you again.